Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we are talking Week 14 recap of the Giants-Eagles Monday night game. Final score, Eagles 23, Giants 17. If you watched this game, man, that was quite an ugly affair. It was looking really bad for the Eagles, and even though they won, it really never looked great for them. They came into the game with only 3 active receivers in the first quarter. Alshon Jeffrey suffered a non-contact injury and left the game, didn't come back. So they're basically down to only 2 starting receivers, so they were just flexing in. They had a third tight end that they had thrown in there. They also had Boston Scott got a ton of work. The entire first half, the Eagles just couldn't move the ball at all. Even the second half, every time they got a first down, it seemed like a tremendous struggle. But they started to gain a little bit momentum as the game went on and eventually won, whereas the Giants was complete opposite. In the first half, they started out a little slow and then they caught fire. They scored 2 touchdowns and had another good drive that ended in a field goal. And then in the second half, they only had 2 first downs in the entire second half. So really just a complete flip. I mean, we didn't expect the Giants to come into this game and play well, so Eli Manning looked okay. From a fantasy perspective, Eli Manning was 15 of 30 for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. He didn't commit any turnovers. He hit Darius Slayton on a giant bomb that was a really nice throw, and then got another touchdown to Slayton as well. So Eli Manning is definitely someone to keep your eye on, especially in 2 quarterback leagues. He does have a pretty nice schedule coming up. From running backs, Saquon Barkley was the only running back to get any carries for the Giants. He had 17 carries for 66 yards, only 3 receptions on 4 targets this game, and he only got 1 yard. So we were hoping that Barkley would return to getting like 8 targets a game like he was getting last year with Eli Manning, but that just didn't come to fruition in this game. On the receiver side, Darius Slayton basically stole all of the work. He had 5 receptions on 8 targets for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just absolutely destroyed the Eagles secondary. Sterling Shepard had 4 receptions on 7 targets, but only 28 yards. And then Golden Tate had only 1 reception on 5 targets for 11 yards. So that wasn't how he expected it was going to go. Figured it would have been flipped, that Shepard would have been the guy that got a lot of work, being that he had some rapport with Manning, but it looks like Slayton is going to be the main target here, and going against the Dolphins next week, look for that to continue. Until Evan Ingram gets back, we're not talking about the tight ends for New York. But looking at the Eagles side of the ball, Carson Wentz, a lot of people started him. He should have been a good start this week. He ended up saving your day in the end, but he looked absolutely terrible in the first half and struggled to, looking at his stats, it doesn't even seem right that he has what he has, but he was 33 of 50 for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 5 carries for 9 yards and 1 kind of bogus fumble at the start of the game. I don't know why they called it a fumble. It didn't look like the ball would actually come out until he was down, but they left it, so if you lose points for a fumble, that hurt your day a little bit. Miles Sanders had left the game for a portion as well. Like, the Eagles just can't stay healthy. Their entire team has just constantly been in the medical tent and in the locker room. So Miles Sanders continued that trend. He had 15 carries for 45 yards and 4 receptions on 5 targets for 24 yards. So pretty mediocre fantasy day. And then nobody started him, but Boston Scott came in Sanders' absence and had 10 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. Also had 6 receptions for 69 yards. Really, Boston Scott was the reason that they won this game. So it'd be interesting to see if they end up using him at all going forward. I think this was just a one-time, it just, the stars aligned. Boston Scott had the game of his life, so I'm not chasing those points. Again, we mentioned they only had 2 active receivers going into this, or 3 active receivers going into this game, and Alshon Jeffrey, what they were saying is a foot injury, but it looked like it could have been an Achilles. So pour one out for Jeffrey. Hopefully he's okay, but I'm guessing we're not going to see Jeffrey again this year. So nothing really even to mention. JJ Arcega-Whiteside ended up having 2 receptions on 3 targets for 29 yards. And then Greg Ward, their only other active receiver, had 4 catches on 9 targets for 34 yards. Just gross. But from the tight end perspective, Zach Ertz was the only other reason that the Eagles had anything going. 9 catches on 13 targets for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. He caught the game winner in overtime, so whoever started Zach Ertz and he won you a Super Bowl, or got you to the next spot in the playoffs. Hopefully he carries you to the Super Bowl, because it looks like he's going to be the only offensive target for the Eagles going forward. Dallas Goedert had 3 catches on 6 targets for 41 yards. Nothing really else to mention. So the Eagles are kind of a gross team, but they still continue having a good schedule. So you're going to continue playing Zach Ertz. I think Miles Sanders will rebound again. I'm not looking to chase points with Boston Scott, and hopefully you survived with Carson Wentz this week, and I'm not looking to trust him anymore. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and we will continue posting content all season long and into the off season.